This is Baruch Fleischman, your lift manager here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel. And I'm trying to get lined up with these videos. I have a new video program that's recommended by my website manager. And he says this is the one to use, so we'll try it. We'll see what happens. It's limited to 15 minutes at this time, so I don't know exactly how it'll work out. But here we are in the Sefer Zohar. It's the Matok Midrash. This volume of the Matok Midrash, which I recommend to everyone to buy the whole set of the Matok Midrash. If for nothing else, it supports the work of these tremendous scholars that have been so wonderful to us to bring you this story. So we're going to open this book up, and here we are on page Kuf Lamed Ches in Parshas Noach, and you can learn along with me, and I'll do the best that I can. So I always like these little blurbs where he says Kedei Lahave, because I know he's going to teach me something in this that maybe I didn't know before. So he says Lahave Maimer Rabba, in order to understand the Maimer that's coming up here. Nakdi Masha Kasav Yechezkel. Let's look at what's written at the beginning of the prophet Yechezkel. Matok Pirush Mitoch or Hanoga, and from the midst of it. What is the midst of it? Mitoch, what's in that beginning? Pirush mitoch or hanoga, from this tremendous light that is coming out that Yechezkel saw. The most arba chayos, he saw the image of four creatures. The most adam laheno. So their vision there is the vision of the man that we want to talk about here. Barba panim la'achas. Over there he says that there are four faces. The four faces are really like one. Because of Od Sham, and these are some of the words that are used over there, and it's written over there, but the Bus Penechem Pene Adam. So the image of their face is really the face of a man, but it's also the face of an Aryeh, of a lion, El Chayamin L'Arba Asam, which the lion would be on the most right side. The Bnei Shur Mechasmol L'Arba Asam, then the ox will be on the left, so now we're going into the concept of the lines. The Bnei Nesher L'Arba Atam, and the fourth one, that is the Nesher, the eagle, that's the fourth one. V'od Sham, so I think I'm saying this a little bit wrong, and so I guess the best way that I try to understand what he's saying is that there are three chayos you see there. So the one is on the right, one is on the middle, one's in the left. So he said, B'ma'al Rakia, Asher al Rosham, and up above the firmament, the heavens that is on top of their heads, Kamare Eben Safir Demus Kise. There is like the image of a sapphire stone, but it's also in the form of a throne. Val Demus Hakise Demus Hakamare Adam Allah Melamal. Then up above, on top of that kise, of that throne, there's an image. It is a vision of a man, Allah Milamala, that's above them, up above them. Pirush Pasukim. So in order to understand what he's saying, what this vision was, and in Parshas Pinchas, we went into this in some detail, but naturally forgot most of it. So he found actually what he saw was four different malachim. Now, understand that Malachim, these four Malachim, are the main channels of Shefa that comes to Zir Anpin into Malchus, and ultimately that Shefa and that Bracha comes to us. So Hamanavi wrote Dala Malachim. So these Malachim have these names. Anikroim Mechoil. Mechoil, that Malach, actually has the face of a lion, Pnei Aryeh. Now this Aryeh comes from the side of Chesed, that is on the right. Bechinas Gabon Lovon. And we understand that all of these things from our shiurim understand that the color white itself is significant of chesed. Then the next malach is called Gavriel. He has the face of an ox, Shiba Gavura, and it represents the left line, the line of Gavura. Bechinas Gabon Edun, and its color is red. Oriel. Then the next one is Pnei Nesher. Oriel, which is a concept of light. He says this as the face also has the face of an eagle. This eagle is in Tiferes, Bebechinas Gabon Yaruk, and it is green. So if you get a chance to look at the website, which has been coming up, you'll see that the elevator and the website is white and red and green. So we'll see how that works out. It says, Raphael Pnei Adam Shebamalchut. But then there's also Raphael. He's the fourth one. He's actually has a face of Malchus, Bechinas Gavon Sapir, and now he says that is the color of sapphire. So these malachim are found in the world of Yetzirah. What do these malachim do? So we see four malachim representing right, left, center, and then up above them. That's the fourth one, which is the man, Sheba Olam Abriya. Let me read this last line again. These malachim then, that we've described, are actually bearers at the Daled Ragle Hakise, the four different legs of the throne, Sheba Olam Abriya. So he says, Bekise, hu ha-malchus, the Hatzilus, the throne itself, is the malchus of Hatzilus, so Yered is the Bria that goes down into Bria. So al hakise yoshe v'teferes, and then what actually is sitting on this throne, which he just said is the malchus of Olam Hatzilus. On top of that is the teferes, the Hatzilus, is the teferes of Hatzilus. We understand that malchus is a receptacle. She is a clean, and Zer Anpin fits inside of her. That's what Yechezkel saw as he looked into Olam Yetzirah. Shehu so the mus kamari Adam, and this teferes, actually, which is another word for Yud Kei Vav Kei, another word for Zer Anpin, actually fits right into it, and it has the appearance, the image of a man, Allah Melamala, which is up above it. Ubezeh navin be'ezes Hashem mat ma'amaimer ha'maimer haba, a little bit from the mimer that's coming now. So let's look at the Zohar and see what the Zohar actually says. It says, Rebbe Shimon Pasach. Rebbe Shimon began to speaking to the Yeshiva Shamahala, and he's speaking and he says like this. Levayir Eshorish HaKeshes, he wants to explain the root of the concept of the rainbow. Haniras Be'inyan Ba'anan, which appears in a cloud. Le'inenu, to us, to our eyes, it has Gimel Gavani Lovan, Gimel Gavanaho, that is, with its three different colors. And we come back and we see what the colors are again. Lavan, Edom, and Yarok. So that represents right, left, and middle. Shorshem Bachagat. So the root of them is in Chesed, Gevurah, and Teferes. Kinevafarish L'chalon, as we are going to explain as we go into this. Now, we've seen this many times, and if you listen to the shiurim in the morning, which are quite difficult, I think, for a person who doesn't really have a lot of background, but you'll see that it's constantly bringing in the concept of colors. These three colors, starts with right, red, white, red, and green. Omaska lefarish mashakasov, and now it's going to come and he's going to explain this pasuk. Mama'al rakia, and up above in the heaven, hina rakia hazel huba bechinas hamasach shebein Yetzirah v'chabriya. Now let's understand what he said here. A masach is another word for a filter or a screen. So this masach is in between all of the olamos. What's its purpose? His matas, the or. That's the tikkun. The tikkun, as we've said many times, is the concept. What is a tikkun? What is a tikkun elevator doing? It's bringing us up. It's bringing shefa down. But if the shefa from the Most High was to come down as it is, we would cease to exist because there's no time there. There's no physicality there. We would no longer be. So therefore, the light has to be physicalized. It has to be constantly screened and channeled into smaller elements of light. So let's go on. So in between these two levels of worlds, that is, we have four worlds that we talk about. Atzilus, we have Bria, Atzilus, Yetzirah, and Asiya. Those four worlds. So he said, who so Malach Matat? Now he says the screen itself is the secret of the Malach, which is called Matat. The Matat, we understand, I've always understood it up to this point as the Vok of the Vok, so to speak. So let's see what he means by that. So Malach Matat, Sheba Olam Yetzira. So Malach Matat is the controlling element of Olam Yetzira. Now Olam Yetzira parallels Zer Anpin. The basic Zer Anpin, and the reason why I call it the Vav Kitzvos or the Vav Kitzvos is because Zer Anpin is basically only Chagatnai. It has only 6 Sfiros. But up above them, Olam Habriya is Olam Habriya, Shuhu Olam Akise, which is also called the world of the throne. V'sham Yeredis HaMalchus de Chatzilus, and onto that throne comes down the Malchus of Atzilus, Asher Al Rosham, which is up above the heads. Sherakia Shuhu Matat. Now he says, look again, the Rakia, which he said previously, is the Masach that minimized the light from Bria so they could be digestible in Yetzirah. That has a name, and it's called by the name of this Malach, which is called Matat. So he's the main controller of how to filter down the light to make it digestible in Yetzirah. Hulamala al Rosham, that's up above their head, Shaladalad Chayos. It's the top of the 4 Chayos. And what happens is that they root themselves in this Malach, which is, once again, a main channel, which is allowing the Shep of the Ein Sof to pour through it, but limiting it down so that it's digestible. And what do they do, these Malachim? They carry the Malchus, which is the Kisei itself, which is the throne, and that is placed in Olam Habriya. V'omar, and it says like this, Shirah me'ala Rakia, so up above this Rakia, which he says is Matat, Kamari Eben Sapir, up above its head, at the top of it in some way, is a vision of a sapphire stone, the Mus Kisei, but that sapphire stone is in the image, imagine in your mind, the image of a sapphire-colored throne. Shuhu HaMalchus, which is Malchus. A little bit more. Before it says Inyan Shiras Dalet Chayos HaKodesh, so now let's talk about the songs that come from these 4 creatures. Machasiv La'ela, what's written up above? It says, B'pasuk HaNizka Ve'eshma Es Kol Kanfeichem, and I will hear the voice of their wings. The sound of their wings, but he said the word voice. Voice is important because you have all these metaphors that are going around, and voice also goes with Olam Yetzirah. The Zer Anpin is the singer. Malchus is the talker. There's a difference between singing or making a music or making melody and the words themselves. The words are Malchus, the melody is Zer Anpin. That's that metaphor. So Ve'eshma es kol kanfeichem kol mayim rabim, I hear the voice, the sounds of their wings, like the voice of Mayim Rabim, of tremendous water flowing. Kol Shakai, like the voice of Shin Dalad Yud, Shakai. Belechtam, as they are moving along. Now Shakai is another word for Yesod. So here we're talking about the Yesod of Yetzirah, or we're talking about the Yesod of Bria. Let's find out. So we'll go a little bit more. Kedei lefarish pasuk zeh. So in order to understand this pasuk, makni lefarish al mi heim hakanfayim. Who did these wings belong to? Kamosha kasav kodem umatocha. So like it's written previously, umatocha demus arba chayos. And in the midst of this olam, that is the Olam Yetzirah, he can be able to see the image of these 4 creatures. V'zeh shekasav ilun arba chevavan, Ravavan Eloim, Kadishin, the Haku Rukia, Mistakna Halayhu, because the Rukia is built on top of them, and let's read the Matat. He says, Elu Dalet Chayos, which is what? It's the image of a man, the image of a lion, the image of a shore, of an ox, and the image of an eagle. Shehem Gedolos Ve'elyonis, they're tremendously great. Must be that their light is tremendously great. Ve'elyonis at a tremendously high level. The Kedushas, and separated from the ordinary world in which we live, Sharikia Mutsukan Aleichem, that the Rikia itself is built on top of them. Now, see, he wants to say that in that world, the world of Yetzirah, you have these 4 Chayos. On top of the Chayos is going to be this Masach, which he said before is called Matat. Now, this is a chiddush for me, something I really wanted to know. Who is Matat? What does Matat do? Matat is the main filter. He's the main channel of bringing the light to a lower place. That up above this firmament which is on top of their heads. So he says, in all of their wings they join together, one with another, in order to be able to cover over the body. What's that about? They join their lights, their wings together, in order to be able to cover up their bodies. What's that about? This is to show you that they are hiding. They are in a secret place. And nobody could reach them. It's forbidden to try to reach them. But at the moment when they spread their wings, so let's do the Matok, and he's got an explanation. He said, when they spread their wings, Nishma kol kanfehem, you can hear actually the sound. He says there is a voice that comes through their wings. She'omrim shira, that start to sing a song. What he's doing is he's relating and making relative to them the movement of their wings. In order to, what it means is that they are being awakened and aroused to a tremendous desire, Lomar Shira, to sing to Hashem, in order to be able to get a reward, or pras really means sustenance, from the house of the king. Now the house of the king is Zeranpin, and so we have to understand what's going on. This is the world of Zeranpin, actually, in Olam Hayatzira. The Matat is related to that same concept. The Vok of the Vok, he represents the ultimate Hismatus, or the ultimate limiting down of a line. So let's see what else I can get out of this. Orarusa b'dechuk of Rabba lo mashira kadei l'kabel pras b'beis Malach b'zesh shekosed be'eshma es kol kanfeichem. And this is what it means when the pasuk says, "And I will hear the voice, of their wings." Pirush shama es kol hashira shel kanfeichem, that you could hear, that is Yechezkel could hear the voice that was coming from their wings. This is the meaning of this pasuk. Kol Shakai, it's like the voice of Shakai. Shakai again is the poorer. Shakai is Yesod, is bris. Pirush medama as kol osa hashira. What he's doing is comparing the voice of that shira, shuhu kol shiras hamalchus, which is like the voice of Malchus as it's singing, besod Malchus Shakai, which is the concept of Malchus, but when she's in a yichud with Shakai, which is the Yesod of Zeranpin. Lo ishtikich la'alma, shelo neshkaz meshiraz of the olam. This music that Yechezkel heard and saw, he said, this never stops. He mekabelas kol hashefa v'chabracha, because she receives all the shefa that's coming down, that there's a Malchus who is now singing, and this Malchus Zeranpin combination, the Kaaba is called a shefa v'chabracha, and what's the purpose of it? To be able to receive all this bracha, in order to bring it down here into this world, to bring light into a dark world. It's written like this: let them sing out glory and not be quiet. Because what is kavod? Kavod is another word. I think he's saying for Malchus, Malchus is never quiet, always busy. Ki inyan hashira, because this song, the idea of this song, now understand this, that if we want to change the world, we could do this in our prayers. We do it every day. This is not a world that we created, but it's a world that actually has a creator. And from our bottom place, in this low place that we are at, he says the words aren't ki inyan ashira, the song that we sing in the prayers. That actually he's talking about Olam Hayatzira, but it's also true of us. Id ma'alaman, mayim nukving. This is the concept of bringing from the bottom to the top. And this causes the shefa to come down. And as a result of that, as she is beseeching and wanting the shefa, she's available to receive it. V'im tidom oz ein shefa v'ein bracha. But let's suppose we stop learning Torah. Let's suppose we stop praying. Then everything becomes quiet. V'ein bracha. My omre ezer shira omeres achayos. So what actually are this a song that the chayos are singing? V'omechodia Hashem Yeshua, so let Hashem make known His salvation. Le'enei hagoyim, that the goyim should be able to see it. Gilad tzidkah, so He reveals His righteousness. He said, and the Matok explains, Lefi shehem haniros emizgalas l'chanevim. So these lights, which we see, we're talking about Yechezkel, were seen and were revealed to the Nevi'im. L'chein omros shahakodesh baruch Hu. So therefore, what we're saying here is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu Modia al Yadam Yeshuasa the Yisrael. He's making known through these songs the salvation of the Jewish people. And He shows it to the Goyim, the actual action of the Malchus of Kedusha, what it's actually do, that the Goyim should be able to see this, because it is through this Malchus that pours out this Shefa, the Habracha and the Bracha, La Tachtain. And that is the Shir today. New situation, like I said before, and I don't know exactly how it works, but we're trying.